right, how's it going, guys? My name is Caleb Kioh, founder of Wallet Guide, and today I have here David and Soufiane, right? And we are here to talk about AI Unplugged. How's it going, guys?
Going great. How about you?
Oh man, you already know I'm doing good. How about you, Soufiane?
Yeah, I'm good. And David, we haven't spoken, so we'll do this live on the podcast.
Love it.
The way to pronounce my name is Soufiane.
Soufiane.
The way I tell people to pronounce it is soup with an F, so souf, and then yawn. Soufiane. So that makes it easier for you.
No, it does. I appreciate the clarification. So we are here to talk about AI, right, guys?
Yes.
Right? I mean, that is the biggest, right? Yeah, nothing else, right? That is the biggest buzzword that is going on right now. I mean, honestly, if you don't know anything about AI, or if you haven't heard of the word AI, you probably live under a rock, right? So, but what's super important about this podcast is the caliber of people that we have on this podcast, right? David and Soufiane are here to break down normal use cases and just basically take this thing called AI that I'm sure most people think it's like this super high up level there, information, and they're wondering, how can I use it in my own personal life? How does it relate to me, my day to day, all these things? That's what this podcast is all about. AI Unplugged. We're here to make AI a simple use case sort of scenario. Now let's start with your background though, right? So David, let's let the audience know a little bit more about your background and where you're coming from.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me here. Excited to be here. I've seen the outline of the topics. Looks very interesting. So I'm excited to dive into it. My name is David Jitendranath. I've been a technologist for 20 plus years. Various roles. I started off as a programmer, and then sort of the latest version of me in the technology space is architect. So what that means is aligning business goals. First of all, kind of understanding the strategy of the business, aligning business goals with the technology roadmap. In the past, I have been a CTO. I also ran a dev agency for about 5 years. I wound it down. Sort of COVID, we did a lot of workshops. So COVID kind of stopped us from doing those in-person workshops. And I sort of, reached a point where I didn't want to be in that agency space. But, I've also been a CTO for a $25 million company. And then my latest version is being an AI architect for a Microsoft consulting firm called Lantern.
Okay. Yeah. So as you hear it there, I mean, David is no, pushover. He is the right guy to talk about this sort of topic. So Soufiane, let's get the audience to know a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name is Soufiane. We're here at the Business Foundry. So I'm the founder and owner of the Business Foundry here in Lone Tree, Colorado. It's a business/technology incubator that we use for these types of events. My background is education-wise, I have a computer science degree, so I've studied computer science, then decided to go more into kind of business development and more business. So I went for an MBA. I've worked in a lot of technology firms, mainly around a very niche industry, which is CAD, computer-aided design, product lifecycle management, manufacturing execution systems. And then about 8-9 years ago, I decided to create my own company. So I'm also the founder and CEO of a company called XD Innovation. XD Innovation works with aerospace, automotive companies around basically engineering and manufacturing related subjects. And as you can imagine, when you talk about aerospace and automotive and product development, there's a lot of AI involved. And we'll get to dive into some of these discussions here around kind of what we're doing around AI and some of the use cases, et cetera. So thank you for having me, Dave.
Indeed. And we're definitely looking forward to jumping into that. But before we do, let's start high level. Let's start about the origins of AI. First of all, what do you when people talk about AI, what does that mean to you guys? Let's have you guys interpret AI to the audience from your own just personal references.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at artificial intelligence is, computers, as we know, has been around, for more than six decades in different formats. The way I look at AI is more adding intelligence to those thinking machines, to a significant level that is almost equivalent to human intelligence. Now, it's, how it kind of translates is different. So, the way a hummingbird flies is very different from how an airplane flies. Both fly, but it's just the way it sort of like uses its wings to fly versus an airplane having wings and flying and being able to carry passengers or cargo is very different. So it's not the same, but it's definitely similar. So that's kind of how the best analogy I like to give for artificial intelligence.
Well, I like that analogy too, because as somebody like myself, even though I am in finance, I love life sciences and I studied about neuroscience just out of curiosity. And if I'm not mistaken, AI is actually created through neural networks, right? And neurons. So to your point, it's almost as if, given that the fact that humans use neurons to also, process information, so does AI. So it's the same kind of thing as a bird and a plane.
That's right.
But one is artificial, one is biological.
Biological. Yeah,
I like it.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, what's your take, Soufiane, on that?
Well, I think, humans and people have been thinking about the intelligence of machines for a long time. We all remember old movies where machines come out and fight off Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? So I think that's been it's been a long time coming. I think the vision of it has been, when I started first thinking about AI, honestly, like for me, it was a lot about intelligence, like machine intelligence, also data science, and also automation. So that's kind of like how I conceptualize AIs.
Sure.
Like machine intelligence, extracting, basically intelligence from also data science, and then automation, automating tasks that can be mundane for humans to do.
Love it. Yeah.
And that's kind of how I think about AI. And then obviously AI evolved into this generative AI that now kind of think of itself. So yeah, so these kind of like the three pillars when I think about AI is machine intelligence, data science, and then automation kind of.
Yeah, so it's almost like the artificial intelligence essentially evolved into where it can take form in real life. Going from like in digital intelligence or like the AI agents where they can, browse around in the digital world, and then eventually get connected to the robotics and the machinery to where they can roam around in the physical world, something like of that nature.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of it. I mean, and again, when we think, and we'll dive into it more, I mean, we have this agentic AI, which is more of an assistant. Automation kind of fits the automation piece.
Yes.
And then we have the intelligence piece, which is more of the generative AI piece that can almost think of for itself and generate output that we ask it to generate. Whether that output is creative or code or document or business plan or whatever the case.
Sure. Yeah. No, I like that. So I actually want to throw this question to you, David, since we were talking about the neural networks and the neurons. Do you believe that, artificial AI would be able to, or do you think they're conscious, or what are your thoughts about that trajectory, and should people fear AI?
Okay. Been snooping around quite a bit. I think intelligence, at least in the new way of seeing AI. We're modeling it after human beings. So you're right, like neurons, neural networks is sort of like the layering of neurons, like it's a similar to how our brains are layered. It's the same layering. And in the sense, like how our neurons, how those layers fire in our brains. Some cells fire and they produce good results, and those pathways are preserved, and the ones that don't produce good results, they die off. So in a way, our brain activity, for very intelligent people, there's more brain activity versus kind of like not so intelligent people, or how much you use your brain. Basically, the activities, there's kind of the pathways start slowly at, sort of like entropy, right?
Right.
So similar to that is how neural network is designed. So it's sort of like if the prediction is accurate, those pathways, neurons, in the neural networks are preserved, and the ones that did not produce the good predictions, they are sort of like, okay, but, this didn't work, so we don't have to fire this pathway anymore. So that's kind of how they're modeled. Now, going to the second part of your question, like, are they conscious? Yes, not to the level that it's not levels, but it's more like it's a different sort of consciousness. Like we humans understand our world through language. Like I think machines do have that sort of like they've acquired language. But at the same time, our understanding has other inputs, like touch, verbal, non-verbal communication, lots of different like smell and all those things that kind of add to our now they're calling it world model, right? So we have sort of like a world model in our brains from the time that we are born till kind of wherever we are on the journey in the life. So it's sort of as much as of now, right, we're trying to create that world model for machines. But what we have been successful in doing is the language part. So I don't think they're conscious. It's just a different degree of consciousness. Like, just like going back to my analogy of flying, are they both flying? Yes, they are flying.
Yeah.
The hummingbird is flying, so is the airplane.
So it's like artificial consciousness.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a different type or category of consciousness.
And I really like that breakdown. And I actually want to kind of, if I may, stick on that a little bit with introducing this word called multimodal. And I'm interested to know because you mentioned how it seems like right now, AI started off with LLMs, right? And so languages, to your point, is how they started. But it does seem like they are now, and I'm sure you guys are seeing in the different chat systems, they're able to now do pictures, they're able to now do audio. So they're becoming what they call multimodal. And so it's almost as if they're also forming the five senses as well. So I'm interested to know, like, with that breakdown, do you feel like there's this emergence come in to where perhaps they could eventually become very similar to the human experience, although it's still going to be artificial? I know this is probably a little off the topic here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just never going to be the same sort of experience. Again, it's the same analogy, like, humans are going to be humans, machines are going to be machines. They may excel at certain things, like a hummingbird you cannot just fly 100 hummingbirds and have them take off with a person.
Yeah.
Maybe we can. Maybe they'll kind of drop us off, but but at the same time, machines like an airplane is really good at transporting people.
Sure.
So machines are going to be excelling at certain things.
Sure.
With their type of intelligence, and we will continue to excel at what we do and with our type of intelligence. So it's
makes
just
sense.
a different dimension, I should say.
No, I like that. Speaking of machines and hardware, it sounds like that's where you shine, right, Soufiane? Let's talk about how AI gets implemented in machines and how do they, I heard there's even a term called like recursive learning, right? And all these different methodologies with ML, like machine learning and things like that. So I'm interested to see how is AI being applied in hardware.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go back to the previous topic.
Do it.
because
Hop in.
Yeah, and then I'll definitely answer that. But
Yeah.
the question was, should we be afraid of AI, right? And it's a loaded question, right? And I don't know if there is a clear answer to that. I think what we should do is partner all the big players around responsible AI, right? Because AI can do a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things that it cannot replace. David touched on it. It's like AI can't smell, at least not today, right?
Maybe not an algorithm yet for smell, right?
Maybe later it could, right? AI can't feel. So when we talk about the human element of feelings and compassion and humanity, right? And thinking, for example, of a human resources AI person that has to make a decision whether they need to fire somebody or keep them employed, using very objective data rather than subjective data, then I think you still need the human element.
Sure.
And we don't want to completely dehumanize ourselves and just give all the tasks that AI can do. AI can do a lot of things, but there are also a lot of things that just need that human touch.
For sure.
And I just give a very simple example of like an HR function, right?
For sure.
And also finance. I mean, even finance, yes, it's very objective, but there's also some subjectivity, right? In terms of like, you're buying a company, right? And you want to do P&L analysis, and the AI can spit out and be like, this is what you should pay these guys, right? But the goodwill is pretty subjective when you buy a company, for example, right?
Sure.
So you still need that human element, and maybe we get to a point where AI has very advanced reasoning models to where it can get close, but I don't think it will get to 100% of being the same as a human, right?
Okay. 100%. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Like goodwill, certain subjective elements of why we want to do business with others. You may have the greatest P&L for a company. I still may not want to do business with that person. And that's very subjective to a human experience. Yeah, great point, Sophie.
Yeah.
Or just hearsay reputation in the marketplace. AI can get, right?
That's where
we still like to chat as humans, and we take a lot of these chatter into our decision-making process. But going back to your question in terms of how AI is implemented in machines, and so a couple of use cases, for example, in my line of work. So we work with a lot of automotive and aerospace companies in the context of manufacturing. So one of the things that we do, for example, is, and this is very early stage of adoption, very simple use case is just predictive maintenance, right? Like you have machines, they need to be maintained at a certain interval. The machine can have reasoning as to how many cycles that machine ran through, when we need to maintain it, when we need to go and do certain things to that machine. So that's just a very simple use example that's been around for a while, just from an IoT perspective.
Sure.
Right. So that's a very simple thing. The other use case that we've seen right now is, if you think about an assembly line of a car, there are robots that do certain functions like welding or painting or whatever. So now we have AI that can basically be used to optimize the process of that assembly line, from how things move through the assembly line all the way to the output. And then we can also use AI to program the robots, right? So the AI is used to program the robots, where back in the day you had people that would program PLCs on robots and all these things.
Sure.
And now you have generative AI that can just spit out code for you to basically program those robots pretty quickly. And then finally, like in machining, in CNC machining, where you have a big CNC machine and you have to feed it a 3D model, and then you have to, again, have a programmer that programs that CNC machine. We're seeing now use cases where you load a 3D model into a CNC machine, and there is an AI model that can read it and spit out code to basically program the CNC machine to bring out that particular product based on the 3D model that you've fed it. So these are just in my line of work, but there's a lot of other things that, I mean, that I have other people that I talk to, like airlines, for example, now are using AI models in airports to optimize landing and takeoff aircraft and all these different things. So there's a lot of different use cases as to how AI is used with machines.
For sure. And I would actually like to stick on this hardware since we are here. And I don't know if you're aware, or I'm interested to know what you are hearing about where the future of AI is going in the hardware space. And what are your thoughts about humanoids, or have you heard about humanoids and that trajectory of AI being implemented in, first of all, you may want to the audience, clarify humanoids and, robots and all these sort of things. And when, first of all, their implementation, if they are, do you feel like they are going to be implemented in society, and when, and then also let's talk about, like, how does AI play a role in all of that?
So as far as predicting the future, I don't have a crystal ball. I think this thing is moving so fast that if anything comes up tomorrow, I'll be like, okay, I'm not surprised, right? Like, right. It's moving so fast that only God knows what the future brings. So I think anybody that can say like, oh, there's gonna be so, like, it's moving every week. There's something new. Yeah. So I think the sky is the limit as far as where innovation takes.
And a matter of fact, there's a guy by the name of Mo Godwood or whatever his name is. He says it's doubling at every 5.7 months. Yeah. So it's actually going faster than Moore's law at this point.
Absolutely. So I'll go back to just what you said, like in terms of machines, but in our world today, like product design using 3D modeling and simulation. Before, you would have to have a number of engineers and analysts, etc., to design product. Now the AI model can say, hey, I want to design a car that has these level of parameters, and it can spit out, like, here's a few designs for you. And I'm not talking about conceptual design to where it's a picture. It's an actual 3D model with components, with a lot of different, it's a scientific engineering model. Wow. That you could, that basically would have taken 2-3 years in the past. And you can run a lot of iterations. Remember back in the day where you see like they do car crash tests. You see them like crashing cars against the wall. Now you can take all of that virtually, feed it into a model, and then it can be like, these at this speed, at this velocity, at all these things, this is how your bumper needs to be rigid, or your structure and all that stuff. So AI can basically play a role in that. As far as humanoids, I do have a picture with the Optimus that anybody can have visiting their local Tesla store at the mall. So I think that is, I don't know, Tesla said they're going to come out with that in 26, 27.
Yeah, next year. By next year, yeah.
So I think there is need for that. I think there are a couple of use cases, like just caregiving. Yeah. A humanoid to help you around the house, clean. So we're all going to be lazy. None of us are going to be doing laundry or cleaning our house or our fridges in the future. We're all going to be sitting down, and our humanoid friends are going to do all the housework. So, hey, more time to do more fun things, right? So that's good. But also in the factory floor, and I think that's kind of where, if I read between the lines, that's where Tesla is going, is now they're going to have these humanoids that are going to be doing a lot of manufacturing, mundane manufacturing tasks that maybe people are doing today. And these are just kind of like a couple of use cases. I'm sure David has other things he can.
No, I think you've covered, we all become kings and queens. sitting on our thrones.
Well, I guess you have to be able to afford the robots first.
But
But
I think price-wise, we'll see it like everything else. Maybe it starts very high,
yeah,
and then it starts going down very quickly as far as cost.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
and I
sure.
know China has also a couple of humanoids. I can't remember the name of the company, but I've seen one that was like sub $20,000 for a humanoid.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
I mean, I think you're gonna see more and more of that.
yeah.
Again, just going back to our previous topic, I just
Sure.
hope that we don't lose our humanity and we just
Speaking of that too, there's even that aspect of romance with the humanoids.
yeah, that's a crazy topic as well, because I think I saw a reel on Instagram or somewhere where somebody has a humanoid girlfriend now. So I'm like, okay, like this guy, she's like, she's not very demanding. I'm like, well, I wonder why. Did you do the machine learning yourself? Did you teach that humanoid how to act? So again, that just goes back. I hope like that's what makes humans and human interactions. Like, yeah, we want a little demanding girlfriend. Like that's what makes the relationship spicy. I don't want my girlfriend to just say yes to everything, right?
Oh my God.
Now we know what you like.
Oh man, no, we're headed towards an interesting future, aren't we? No, David, let's talk about then now more so the implementation and the, let's say, daily use for just like the average person as it pertains to AI. It looks like we even kind of went a little bit into the future with humanoids, but then let's even bring it back to just now. What are some use cases between AI and maybe perhaps include AI agents? And let's explain to the audience a little bit, what are the difference between the two and the use cases that you see that you're doing and how others can do it?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it as, in the past, traditionally, technology has been a great place to do automation, a lot of mundane tasks. And these are more repetitive tasks. You just kind of come in and do the same things. And maybe you're making some decisions, this or that, like, it's sort of like like, hey, if at the end of the month, send invoices to all your clients. So that's like, is today the end of the month? Is today the end of the month? You keep asking that.
Right.
Okay, now it's the 30th or the 31st, then boom, you send out the invoices. Now that's a very deterministic type of automation. However, if I were to say to potentially my marketing manager, like, hey, I want you to collect some emails and we want to host a webinar in 2 weeks on this such and such topic. Now that's got a little bit of like some decisions you have to make, like where do I go get the emails from, what sort of audience, based on the topic, obviously. And then, I may go to LinkedIn, I may go to Facebook, I may buy an email list. Now you kind of have to make some decisions, right? So now the new version of agents, which is sort of like like an higher level or a different degree of automation, is making those micro decisions. And that's what we call agentic or autonomous agents, which can make those micro decisions for us to say, given this sort of a topic, who would be the right audience and what is the best place to go acquire it. And maybe there's another, it interacts with another agent, like an email acquisition agent that can go and pull those emails from various sources. So that's sort of like the new world of agents that we're getting into, where agents potentially can be orchestrated, or they can talk to other agents, interact with other agents, and make some micro decisions on our behalf. Because at the end of the day, I'm interested in running a webinar and seeing some, like who's interested in the topic that I ran the webinar on. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in kind of like the nitty-gritties of acquiring emails, where do I go look for them, those type of things, right? Which can be sort of like, those are micro decisions is what I would say. And, sometimes these can fail, and part of that micro decision, you wouldn't expect. If you hired a marketing manager, you wouldn't expect that person to be 100% right all the time. All the time, it's experimentation to which list worked, which list didn't work. So it leads to better experimentation with this in this agentic economy too.
For sure. And would you say that, I mean, first of all, like the implications of this, of now being able to have, it seems like a digital assistant to be able to help you with your emails, help you with like multiple different tasks at once. What do you feel like are the implications as it pertains to even just like your work and then even the future of work? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think, there's, if we were to make a thought experiment, we're not completely there where, I mean, there are agents that are interacting with other agents,
Right.
but we're not to the point where agents can autonomously get a full job done, right? So, what we are in the future, very near future,
Sure.
there could be sort of like people can actually manage agents. So it might be like a hybrid environment
Sure.
where each of us become agent managers or agent bosses, and we it remains to be seen who will own the agents. Am I going to come into a company with a set of agents that I have, and these are my little workers, digital workers, or is it going to be part of the company where I'm working, and these workers remain there, and then so that economy is still kind of being worked out.
Sure.
But I think we're very much it's very much a possibility in the very near future where you could potentially have a 15-member company that has got a $1 billion, $10 billion valuation. Usually, a $1 billion company has many employees, and we can sort of like think about us working with other digital agents that might even be working 24/7 when we go to sleep. And we continue to work with them and manage them.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of implications there that I'm going to hold off and probably even perhaps talk about later. But I want to get Soufiane's take on, and perhaps we should even take a step back too and try to describe, because we talked about AI, but now let's kind of describe on maybe like a simple level of what are AI agents for the audience that perhaps hear it all the time. I'm sure you guys see a lot of the LinkedIn posts about AI agents now. It's just like blown up everywhere. So in you guys' words, or you're just very simply, what would you say AI agents are, and what are use cases that you guys have done with them, or perhaps either AI agents or just AI in itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think David said it best. It's like a digital worker, right? AI agent. I think the first iteration of that maybe a couple of years ago, maybe longer, maybe shorter. A lot of people started talking about chatbots, right?
Yes.
Like, hey, like chatbots. Chatbot. Do you have a chatbot? I have a chatbot. Let's just all get a chatbot, right? A chatbot is basically like, think of any consumer that goes to any big company, whether it's AT&T or Comcast or whatever, and they go to the help and they're like, chat with our agent.
Yes.
So sometimes maybe in the past we were chatting with a real person, but today we may just be chatting with this AI agent that is taking these repetitive questions that everybody asks and already has a prepackaged answer. So instead of having a real person answering the exact same question 5,500 times a day, now we have this AI agent that is trained to answer these most commonly asked questions and interact directly with consumers. And if it goes above and beyond what the AI agent can answer, then maybe at that point they transfer you to a real person.
Sure.
So the AI agent today is basically a digital worker that is doing work that humans used to do, but they were maybe repetitive tasks, as David said. So chat could be another one.
Okay.
Sometimes you can call a company and you may be talking to an AI agent, because instead of having a receptionist that says, "Hey, thank you for calling ABC company. How may I direct your call?" and do that, again, 200 times a day. Maybe it's just an AI voice that says, "Thank you for calling AI company. How may I direct your call?" So these, again, are some repetitive things. I've seen some cool things like that are in your world, finance, accounting nowadays, where there is an AI agent where basically before a bookkeeper would take your accounting software and your bank account and start reconciling transaction. Oh, I have this here. This goes under this. So now there is an AI agent that basically does that. It reconciles all of your transactions between your bank account and your accounting, software, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So there is a lot of different things where I feel like repetitive tasks doesn't mean we're going to replace people 100%. And I think that's what a lot of people say. Well, we're all going to be out of the job, right?
Because as you're talking, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, well, it's, it looks like those are jobs that people are doing. And so then for the people that are now afraid, right, of all of this happening, what would you guys say, or how could people be able to navigate this transition that's happening, as clearly it looks like these digital agents or digital employees have the capacity to take people's jobs. So what would you say to those people that are afraid or have that sort of fear that their jobs can be replaced?
I mean, I can start and maybe you can go. I think that has been around for a long time, because if we think about even before the date of AI, there was something called offshoring, right? Where some of these mundane tasks would just be offshore to a less costly location, whether in South America or India or Eastern Europe or whatever it is, right? So that already existed. I think the people that have to be worried are the people in these offshore destinations, right? Where things are getting now, like it's a race to the bottom. Now it's gonna be even cheaper to do these things, right?
Yeah.
But for the people here in the US and in our communities, I would say it's just an opportunity to upskill, to bring yourself to a whole different level. AI is not gonna replace all jobs. It's becoming easier and easier to even, maybe you can develop your own AI agent, right? Maybe the job you do today, you can train your AI agent and you can sell that agent, and now you're not going to lose a job. You're going to have 15 of you that can do this job. And
Love it.
like David said earlier, you just sit at home as a king or a queen, right? And then you have these digital workers that know exactly what you used to do, and they can do it for you.
Love it.
So
Yes.
I think it's an opportunity. I think it takes a little bit of mindset as a shift, but there's always going to be opportunity. Some industries are going to go away, but some other industries are going to get created. So
That's a great response. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I would just say, for those that are afraid my job's going to go away or anything like that, like stay curious, like learn about, what is AI, like what are new things that are happening in your, if you're working in healthcare or if you're working in manufacturing, like what are the new things that are happening around in that industry space. And I think, that'll lead to, whatever reskilling or it's not upskilling per se. I mean, it's not like, it's sort of like retooling yourself, right? But the way when we think about how the industrial revolution happened, then what we were able to do with the manufacturing, in the manufacturing space, is sort of like this conveyor belt mechanism where people don't have to go to different places to build a car, but it's sort of like an assembly line. So that kind of changed, the world of manufacturing. So similarly, AI will reorganize companies and transform them in new ways. And, figuring out where, if you're curious, you will know where do you fit in as this transition is happening. in your space or in your industry?
So I mean, 100%. And I like the word you use, curious, because I feel like we're literally in another shift again. If you look at the human evolution, we're always evolving, right? And when that evolution comes, adaptation is super important, right? In that evolution, and curiosity seems to be now that new skill, or not, I wouldn't say new skill set, but that skill set that is just so important to help you in this transition, right? And it looks like we, on an economical standpoint, we go through different stages of economy, right? The agrarian stage to the industrial stage to the, I would say, information or technological stage. And then now we're in literally the age of AI, the age of knowledge and age of intelligence. Matter of fact, it's like what it seems like as I'm observing is intelligence is the new product. That is the product now. So it's almost as if you don't have that in your company, you already are in a disadvantage. So as we are now, winding down in the closings, and I know the time has already flown by so quick. I mean, that's how much fun. When you talk about AI, you have a lot of fun depending on who you talk to it with, and time flies. So, but no, I'm sure we'll have a lot more of these. But I want to, as we're winding down, talk about some reflections. So what's one guiding principles you guys always return to when building or evaluating tech?
Well, yeah. So I guess we're doing closing statements. But first of all, I just want to thank you, Caleb, for being the initiator of this podcast. Yeah. I'm hoping we can make this part one of many to come. Yeah. I also want to thank David for his availability and his partnership. For those of you guys that don't know, David runs a Denver AI group on Meetup. So he's got a great community. We've had an event here at the Business Foundry, and we're hoping to just have more of those events. Yes. Build community, exchange ideas, and just share the knowledge and exchange the knowledge between all of us. So important. So thank you, David, for that. How do we develop tech? I think some of it is reactive, right? Some of it is reactive. Customers, because we can't think of everything, because sometimes customers are like, well, do you have something that does this? And you're like, a light bulb comes up and you're like, yeah, of course we can build it. So it's reactive. But some of it is also proactive in terms of like, in my line of work, we're developing things that don't exist yet in terms of AI, and they may fail, they may succeed, but at least we're thinking ahead, like just based on our customer implementations that we've done in the past, like we see AIs having a potential to do X, and then we go and develop it, right? And we try to go and find a customer to pilot it with, and early adopters, etc. So the guiding principle is really to stay, I don't like to develop stuff that already exists. So like for me, it's like the whole thing between build versus buy. If it already exists, if I can buy it off the shelf at a reasonable price, I'm not going to go build it. Sure. Somebody already did that, right? Yeah. I want to build stuff that doesn't exist. Okay. So that's kind of like where,
fine.
Or, to just further qualify that, or maybe something that did exist that we can make better, right? So I don't want to do something that already exists, exactly what it is, and then just do another meet you. So I like something either to refine, add value on something that already exists, or build something new that doesn't exist in the marketplace. And technology is just an enabler. Sometimes we like to talk a lot about innovation and technology, but there's also innovation in just business models. Sure. Right? Like you just come up with a new business model, and yes, technology is the enabler, but it's really the business model that's the differentiator. So that's, but again, thank you. Yeah. And again, we hope we do more of these.
And we do have a bonus segment round. It was going to be short. So yeah.
I think, well, thanks for hosting this place. He's always the hostess with the most, right? It was like, he always, I mean, this is a great location.
Yeah.
We love hosting events here. And, obviously this podcast facility is amazing, all the amenities. So thanks, Soufiane, for that. And Caleb, thanks for hosting this podcast.
Absolutely.
My thought is, as we think about AI, guiding principles, we kind of used technology more as a cost optimization, efficiency creation, productivity tool. Like, can we make people do more stuff? Can we maximize what we get from people? Is how we used technology.
Okay.
With AI, I think it will change that. I think we will go into more like a value creation economy.
I like that.
So it's not about maximizing and extracting from resources. It's more like what can we create with AI. So that's sort of like a new mindset. When you approach AI with that, it leads to more like innovative ideas and innovative products. Granted that there are going to be products that we are going to improve and products that will change the way we interact with AI. But at the same time, I think the ones that will have higher valuation, higher impact, sort of like change the world, change the way we see things and we do things with technology, will be the ones who think with the value creation mindset, not the optimization mindset. So that's kind of my guiding principles.
I love that. I love that. And just a quick bonus segment round. What emerging tech trends are you guys keeping your eyes close on?
I'll do a very quick one because we talked about agents and you talked about orchestration of agents. This is something I'm looking very closely at, is the multi-agent model. And we can have a whole discussion maybe next time about it. But the multi-agent model is different agents keeping each other in check. So,
Awesome, man.
But that's kind of I think a very, very interesting model for me, is the multi-agent model working all together with a layer of automation, and that's kind of a new trend.
What are we keeping an eye on? Is that
what emerging within the AI or whatnot? What emerging trend?
Yeah,
Are you keeping your eye close on?
Closed or open?
Like, are you keeping a close eye on?
Yeah, I mean, I would say agentic world is very interesting. The latest development with model context protocol. I did an event on that in Denver AI meetup group. That's very interesting to be able to have agents talk to each other, what that would look like and what can they do with it. So all of that is interesting. Also, sort of like how we may potentially be looking at combining machine learning data from more the predictive side of data with LLMs. Like how can we, like we always think we make data-driven decisions, but in reality we make more emotional decisions.
Sure.
And then we justify it with data retroactively. But in this case, can LLMs be utilized to sort of like make some meaning from some predictive data? So that's another area of interest for me. Like, how can we combine machine learning with generative AI? So that's like connecting the dots. So those are the two areas of interest.
Awesome. No, I think this was so great. I'll actually just leave. I know Soufiane, you have to run too. I'll leave with one last question in terms of practical tools that people can actually use today to accelerate whether it's their workflows or this or that. I have some examples I can throw, and I'm interested to hear you guys's. There's a tool called Manus AI. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's like they said it's China's new DeepSeek. essentially. Super cool AI agent that helps you do multiple different tasks simultaneously, which it could also transcribe text to presentations instantaneously and build landing pages. And then there's another tool called Riplet, which is a great prompt to app text, where it can also just literally build apps through prompts, which is insane. And then there's another one called Devin AI, which is basically, it can do up to like mid-level engineering development through prompts. So I'm already transitioning our dev team right now to this agentic product development lifecycle, and transitioning our engineers to be prompt engineers, as opposed to, I think even Microsoft CEO said by the end of this year, I mean, all the tech leaders are saying by the end of this year, like most of coding is going to be done through AI agents, right? So it's interesting to see the landscape and where it's going. So I'm interested to know from you guys any other sort of like AI tools that people that are listening probably, that you guys are probably using, or just even tricks and tips that you guys are doing that they can use in their daily life.
No, I'll keep it very simple. Like for me, like you mentioned, software development, there is a tool that we're starting to use now, which is Cursor. I don't know how many people use Cursor. So Cursor is a good tool. Yes, you can, this is basically in context of your dev environment, you're using Cursor. So for software developers, and I would just say at the very basic level for just people that are not as maybe knowledgeable about AI, if you use Microsoft Office, try to use Copilot, right? It's just something as simple as that. Like people that do a lot of spreadsheets and such, like Copilot can make your life a lot easier. So just try that. And that just gets you, I would say, at the very basic level, use Copilot, use ChatGPT. I'm starting to use Grok. I really like Grok.
Really good.
And just use that at the very basic level to get kind of familiar with AI.
Love it. How about you, David?
I've used, I do create some of my own content for my YouTube channel. So I use Rescript a lot. So it's a very helpful editing tool. So you can, you've created a video. Obviously, you never get it right on the first take. You do multiple takes. If you can edit text, it lets you edit videos. So it's a great tool, and you can even remove ums and ahs, the filler text. So that's pretty amazing. The other tool that I do use Claude a lot. I like Claude, especially for like small coding tasks. If I want to create a small chatbot or something like that to demo to a client, I usually use Claude for code generation. I think those are two tools that I most extensively use. Obviously, the usual ChatGPT, the Copilot that you talked about. ChatGPT is great. A little bit of a shameless plug. I developed an app called Sniggle. It's out of the App Store, SNIGGL.
Love it.
If you have a picture and you want to post some text on social media with that picture, I like taking pictures, like photography type stuff. So sometimes I have a hard time coming up with like, okay, I want to post this picture, but I don't know what to say about this. So with the app, you can actually, it does image recognition and converts that to sort of like a funny post or a philosophical post or an inspirational post. And it generates the text, social media text for that. So yeah, that's another tool that I use.
Awesome. No, that was awesome and great. And this, I have to say, has been one of the best podcasts I've done by far in a long time. And we're just getting started, because we just scratched the surface, right, when it comes to AI. So looking forward to the future podcasts about AI, and we are over and out.